and welcome. So I wanted to film a Q&A video that I had said that I would film in connection to me reaching 1,000 subscribers. Now currently as I'm filming this, I haven't reached 1,000 subscribers, but I don't know, I predicted the growth of my channel based off what it has been doing, but it has really slowed down a lot, which is quite nice because it feels like, finally. I was getting a little bit worried that it was going to get crazy and then I wouldn't be able to manage it, but this is great. And so yeah, but I didn't want to leave the people who ask questions waiting for me based off a number that I might reach, so I'm just going to film this anyway. Whether or not I have 1,000 subscribers when you watch this doesn't really matter, and I just really wanted to thank everyone who has been a part of my channel so far and been sharing your thoughts and ideas in the comments. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it, because it is really making me think more about things and see things from different people's perspectives, and when you share your ideas, it is just so awesome. And yeah, I never thought I would enjoy making YouTube videos. I thought it would be a somewhat disconnected process, but through the comments, it's just great. And the fact that I get to like put a video up and people like internationally get to watch it, it is so cool. And yeah, especially when you share where you're from, that really makes my day, because then I'm like, wow, like I can travel there one day. That is awesome. So yeah, without further ado, I will answer the questions. I have mentioned this before, but I am somewhat dyslexic, so my reading and pronunciations of things, as well as my spelling and grammar, is not the best, but I will try. So the first couple of questions comes from Rachel Lawyer. The first one is, where are you living right now? So I'm currently living in New York State in North America, and I am living in a Camp Hill community, which is an intentional community set up for people with developmental disabilities. Now I'm going to make a separate video on that because I have had quite a few questions related to it, and yeah, if you are more interested in what that is, then stay tuned for when I make that video about that. Another question she has is goals you have for your life. So I don't know, I don't have specific goals. I don't really even know what I want to do with my life, but I do know that I want to have work that I love to do, that helps other people in some way and I continue to grow while doing it. I don't really care what it is. I'm assuming it's probably going to be to do something with people because of the, what I'm currently doing now. And I've always loved working in hospitality. Hospitality is like my favorite thing, and like the best time of my life is I think when I got a job in a restaurant, and I've never looked back since. So yeah, it's going to be something to do with people, but I don't know around what. And yeah, as long as I'm happy doing it, I can help grow others and I can continue to grow myself. I don't care what it is. So yeah, that's hopefully answers that question. And then another one, where is it? Best advice or words of wisdom you have learned. So the best advice comes from my dad, and I have always been quite an intense person, and I really like demand, not perfection, but I really demand like energy and working hard and that kind of thing. And I really expect people to step up and like be there in a way. And so I've always like had that kind of ability, and he used to always tell me like, people are broken, give them a break. And I've always kind of struggled with that, and he'd always tell me that, and I was like, what do you mean? People aren't broken, people can get it together, what do you mean? And then I've sort of slowly started to realize, the older I get, that people are broken. We all have up issues, we all have things where we're not complete, and especially working with people with disability, you see that in such a clear way. But we kind of forget that about the average person. We're not perfect, and yeah, it's really important to allow for people's disabilities and to work with other people's things where they're not perfect. And I feel like that's the best advice, is to really realize that we all have some problem, and to not just criticize and get frustrated and expect things of others, and just to be willing and allow for people's imperfections. I think that is one of the best pieces of advice I have been given. So what's the other question? What is your favorite thing to do when you have free time? I don't know, it's changed a lot depending on where I'm living and what I'm doing, but right now in my free time I make videos, or I go out and just chat with friends and go for walks with friends. And I just get 1 day off a week, so I also usually do my homework. But when I was living in London, for example, I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't really spend time with other people. But what I'd do is I'd get on the bus, I would ride the bus, I would get off at a random spot, I would just walk around the city, and I absolutely loved doing that. And when I was back home in Australia, I used to do photo shoots a lot, so I would set up a lot of photo shoots, and I would do that in my spare time and just, yeah, hang out with people that way. So it just depends on where I'm living, I guess, depends on what I do in my free time. So Trixie Wright is another person who asked me a question, and White, I don't know how to say that properly. And what do you want to see from zero waste bloggers and YouTubers? So she said that she's been thinking about this and she thought she would ask me. So what I think I'll make maybe a separate video on this possibly, but what I would like to see from the zero waste community, but also I'd like to see it from the vegan community and the minimalist community, is that they come together a little bit more and support each other. Because I always see like zero waste people don't exactly address the whole picture of, you know, also being less consumerist. I mean, automatically that lifestyle makes you do that a little bit, but then maybe they need to also address the fact that if you're still consuming meat and things like that, it is a massive wasteful industry that really negatively impacts the environment. But on the same side, I would love to see vegans actually stand up and go, plastic is equally, well, maybe not equally as bad, but is still really bad for the environment, and the plastic pollution that's in the ocean and the wildlife that is eating it and the amount of animals that are dying because of the way that we do things. I would just wish there was more awareness, and that, you know, minimalism shouldn't just be about the way that, well, maybe it can be for some people, but I would love to see that minimalism is more than just the way that your place looks, or I don't know, just something like that. Like, you know, it's bigger than just an aesthetic, you know, it's also about being more conscious in many different ways. So I'd like to see all of them to come together and be a lot more supportive, and sort of connect the dots a bit more. You know, there are the heads of the zero waste movement who are amazing in what they do, and that's so awesome, but like people like Bea Johnson, I would really like her to address that maybe that changing your diet is also very important. Not that she necessarily has to do it right now, but at least acknowledge that it is a part of, yeah, trying to be more conscious, is to also have a bit more of awareness of what we eat as well and what we consume. So that's kind of what I have been thinking about a little bit. And what are your favorite bloggers and YouTubers of the zero waste movement? I don't know, I don't really have any off the top of my head. I really love The Girl Gone Green and B0, which I don't remember her name, but those are two people who really seem to be doing it in a very good way, and I really love, you know, I really love what they're doing. There's also a Sustainably Vegan. She talks about being vegan as well as being zero waste, and that's nice that she's kind of brought the two together, and I would like to see more of that. So hopefully that answers your question. And then Smoke Me Keeper, I'm so sorry, asked, what are your thoughts on New Year's resolutions and what made you decide against hormonal birth control? So New Year's resolutions, I think they're a nice thing. I like to call them challenges. I like to put myself into a challenge rather than a resolution, because I don't know, you can still get somewhere in a challenge. I don't know, it's just how I feel. And I feel like when it's a challenge, I'm like, yeah, all right, let's do this, let's take this on. But when it's a resolution, I'm kind of like, nah, you know, maybe I could also not equally do it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I like them. I think they're good, and I have a couple myself, and someone requested that I make a video about that, so maybe I will later on. It might be in January, because I don't think you have to like start a challenge or a resolution or something like that at the beginning of the year. You can kind of do it whenever you are ready to do it, so I will make a video at some point about that. But yeah, what made you decide against hormonal birth control? So I've been raised very much in a completely natural way, and I used condoms my whole sexual history so far, and I've never been on hormonal birth control, and I never wanted to go on hormonal birth control, because if I'm very aware of what I put in my body, and my mum has been someone who's, you know, really educated me around that, I didn't want to then also take a drug that changed my hormonal system. And when it came to me you know, getting a bit older, getting into a bit more of a long-term relationship, I was like, okay, you know, condoms do their thing, they're good, but when you're with someone and you've been with them for a while, you're not worried about STDs anymore. You know, we both got checked, me and my partner, and it's more just about being intimate and close with each other, so I didn't want to, yeah, be using condoms. And then I thought about the diaphragm. I got fitted for that, but then there's a whole story around it. But basically I was raised in a very sort of natural way, eating very good food. I have never had any, like, allopathic medicine is the best way to explain it. Maybe that's another video in itself, but that's kind of why I decided against it. I didn't even decide against it, it just wasn't, I just didn't think of it as really an option for myself, because I think it's great for the people who want to choose it, but personally not for me. So yeah, I hope that answers all your questions, and yeah, thank you once again for just being a part of this little journey. Of course, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below and I will answer them in the comments. I don't think I will be doing another Q&A because they just feel a little bit intimidating, to be honest. So yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!